Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice, because this brother of yours was dead and has come to life. He was lost and has been found. Good morning. Welcome to a short biblical reflection on the reading from the Gospel according to Luke, chapter 15. In the lectionary, the reading is just limited to verses 1 and 3, and then verses 11 up to 32. Myself, I will include the entire chapter 15. The introduction explains the situation in which those three parables were delivered as an answer. The tax collectors and sinners were coming to Jesus, and the Pharisees and the scribes were grumbling and saying, "This fellow welcomes sinners and eats with them." And then we have the first introduction in verse 3. So he told them this parable, and then follow immediately this twin parable, which is also separated by just very short introduction, which introduces the second parable of this in verse 8, or. And then in verse 11, this longer parable of those two sons and the father is introduced by the expression, then he said. So the proper introduction is in verse 3. So he told them this parable. Therefore, consequently, all these three parables we could consider as one parable, as a triptych, which has two very similar parts. For example, we could imagine them on two sides, left and right side of the main parable, which is the last one, which concerns those two brothers. So the lost sheep on the one side and the lost coin on the other side. The first two parables are called twin parables because they share so much similarity. I put on the screen in three different colors, which shows the flow, identical flow of these three parables with just few distinct elements, because there is also a rule. When two things are too similar, we should not focus anymore on similarity, but we should now pay attention to what makes difference. For example, the first parable of the lost sheep concludes with the strong statement which compares the lost sheep with the 99 righteous persons who need no repentance. Of course, this expression now, righteous persons, immediately links it with the Pharisees and the scribes who were complaining about the attitude of Jesus of receiving the sinners, because in fact, in particular, the Pharisees were considered themselves as the righteous ones. But the two essential words which distinguish those two parables are: in the first parable, the sheep is lost in the wilderness, while the coin is lost in the house. So we can say it differently. One element is lost outside, and the other element is lost inside. And therefore, those two parables already prepare the ground also for the interpretation of the last parable, the main parable of the father and the two sons, which is also now unbalanced, and we will see it on the second screen. As the twin parables are so similar, now this parable, it contains two parts, even in the size and balance. Much more space dedicated to the younger son who is lost, who reflects and then returns to the father. The whole nice, beautiful description of the story. And then the second part, which is shorter, and we could also already say unfinished, of the elder son, who, and then the dialogue which is with the elder son, and the lack of conclusion, because after his complaint, listen, for all these years I have been working like a slave for you. I have never disobeyed your command. Yet you have never given me even a young goat so that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came back, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fattened calf for him. And then the father answers him the words which I introduce this reflection today. Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice because this brother of yours was dead and has come to life. He was lost and has been found. And now at this point, this parable is unfinished. We do not know what in fact did the elder son, if he really changed his mind and came with his father to this celebration of retrieving, founding his younger son, or he was stubborn and he continued in his attitude. In fact, many names which are given to this parable are focusing on the younger son. For example, the lost son or the prodigal son. Sometimes the names also add the second brother and sometimes the father. But properly, we should balance in the name, calling it that it is the parable about the father and the relation of the father with his two sons. And now, as the sheep is lost in wilderness, the younger son is lost in a distant country. And similarly, as the coin is lost in the house, now the elder son, who is always with the father, he's also lost inside in the house, because in the way how he complained, he lost his sonship, the concept belonging. He does not consider himself anymore really as a son, because even he says to his father that he slaved him for so many years, and even he does not consider his brother as a brother, but he says in very harsh way, the son of yours. Therefore, most probably also in naming this parable, we prefer to name it with the younger son because it is easier for us to identify ourselves as a younger son who finally returns to the father, but it's difficult to identify ourselves with the elder son who has a problem with himself and the problem consequently with the father and his or her brothers and sisters. I would like to wish you a nice day, a nice reflection on this parable.